Can't tell you how thrilled I am and to see all of you, even though all of us look a little more tired than we did back at the end of January. I wanted to start with an announcement of an event that's coming up in September. It's sponsored by the Alliance for the Study of the Holocaust, and that's the group you've heard about all semester that helps to underwrite the cost of bringing the speakers. We are doing a wonderful gathering to honor the survivors who are still in our midst in Sonoma County and the people who've made a major contribution to Holocaust education over the last 23 years of the series. It's going to be on a Sunday afternoon in September. I have some flyers. Please take one if you're interested and kind of keep track of the date. And I also have a sheet for people who might be interested in either getting an invitation to the event, in assisting us with putting it on. We may need some extra hands the day of for setup, to greet people, things of that sort. And there are also every year a few people who join the board of the Alliance and help us try to figure out how to move forward, who have been students in this series, and we would love to have a few of you join us if you are in the area. And so that's something else you can sign up for. If anybody has any questions about either the event or working with the Alliance, please see me after the lecture. And I'm just going to scoot these around, and please take one if you're interested. Thanks.
Well, here we are again. As has been my habit, I'd like to thank you again for showing up and doing such good work. What we do today is talk about what we've learned. Not everybody speaks or wants to speak, but we have some students who I hope represent you well. They're going to tell us a bit about their reflections. We've asked them ahead of time to think about it. We would also welcome, after they're finished, your comments, if you have some. I know that it's, how shall I say it, we're all a bit strung out and ready for school to be over, but I hope that they will inspire you. After they finish, and the faculty have a word or two, I'm going to start, and after they're finished, Barbara gets not only the first word, but the last word today. And then we have a couple of students we'd like to honor, and you'll find out about that. And then I would like to show you some of what the money that you have so generously contributed has gone to do in Rwanda. We have that, and then we'll all say goodbye and farewell, and wish all the seniors good luck. How many people are, once again, spending their last few hours? Okay. And then we'll collect the finals, unless you have forgotten about that. What I wanted to talk about just a bit is some of what I have talked about in class and at the beginning, and it's why I believe studying about the Holocaust and genocide is so important and what it can mean to us. And I've said this many times, and I'm sure you will understand and agree that the Holocaust is what we call a watershed event. That things were different before the Holocaust, and they are very, very different after the Holocaust. And it's not only unique to the 20th century, but also to all of human history. Unfortunately, we've had to experience genocides after the Holocaust, and we are living through one right now. By studying the Holocaust and genocide, it gives you an opportunity to focus in on the abuses and uses of power. We're not very well schooled in understanding the exercise of power in our society. There is an awful lot done to keep us distracted from that. But when you study the Holocaust and you think about genocide, it's hard not to think about what happens when people are given unbridled power and how they can use it. Certainly we've learned how to understand what the consequences of racism and prejudice are. It's been an important part of us in considering about what happens when we begin to stereotype people and how prejudice can escalate into mass murder, death, and even genocide. The other thing we pride ourselves on is being modern. But the Holocaust, especially, helps us understand how modernity, or being modern, is not always a wonderful thing. I mean, it's great that we have all kinds of entertainment and we look at consumerism in certain ways, but it was also modern technology that made the Holocaust so possible. Studying the Holocaust and genocide provides an understanding for us about how important it is to not stay silent, that when we stay silent, there are better chances that people will die, and that it is an opportunity for us when we see this kind of mass killing, genocide, that we need to speak up. And you've responded to that wonderfully in the opportunities that were given to you, both in terms of financial contributions, but also in supporting the Human Rights Club and sending postcards, etc. They've been most successful. I hope that one of the things you've learned is how complex the historical process can be, that it isn't just simply George Washington chopped down a cherry tree and then he didn't lie about it, that there are complexities to our lives and that we always need to take a long look and not make some kind of simple assumptions about what's going on around us. We also learned how popular culture has appropriated this event called the Holocaust, and also what happened in Rwanda, and has kind of bent it so that the truth is, while it's very, very hard to find the truth, and a search for it is always a goal, popular culture has a way of distorting the truth in some ways, so that we need to know that we need to continue to be inquirers. I've said this before. It'll be the last time I can say it to you as a group. I commend you for your efforts to spend time with grappling with this subject. I hope it has enriched not only your intellectual life, but your life as a citizen. And as I say, I commend you. So now we're going to have students talk. And you can either come up here if you'd like, or you can speak from right there. Whatever most comfortable for you.
Can you guys hear me if I speak from here? Myrna asked me to say something that I learned, and immediately I knew what I wanted to say to the class, because I think a lot of us may have had the same experience and may not have really fully understood what we got out of it. And for me, before coming to this class, I knew that a Holocaust had occurred, that 6 million Jews had been brutally murdered by Nazis in Germany, but I did not understand what a huge infrastructure it took for something like that to occur, and how ordinary people like us and our parents and families had to contribute for that to happen at all, because without them it couldn't happen. And I never realized that I had a universal moral obligation, and once I learned that, I realized mine was pretty close to our nation and to my family and friends. And when you realize that, you can really expand it, which I was able to do. So for the first time in my life, I donated, I wrote letters, I read on a subject and could talk about it and know what I'm talking about and have a stance. So I've really grown, and I think that's probably true for a lot of people, and I thought I would put it out there so you can recognize what Myrna and Barbara and our speakers were able to give us.
Very good, thank you.
I'm Kathy, and I'm representing Professor Barbara Lesh-McCaffrey's section. My entire class sent me stuff about what they learned, so this is kind of a conglomeration of all of our points of view. And I wrote it down because I'm an English major, and that's what I do. Our class was an extremely lucky one in that we had a very open atmosphere filled with people from all walks of life looking at this class from such different points of view. We had sociology majors who were interested in the survival aspects, psychology majors who gave us interesting insights into the minds of others, even ex-military who could provide us with a sense of how it might feel to be on the other side of the story. We even had a wide array of religious backgrounds that brought so much variety and knowledge to our discussions. Everyone brought a part of themselves into our class to create a very rich learning experience. Not a single lecture went by that didn't touch a heart or make a mind work. Waller's talk and book on how ordinary, everyday people like you and me are the ones who are perpetrating these heinous crimes taught us to make choices and not get caught up in a fervor. This class has taught us about opening our universal moral obligation to include everybody and to discount nobody. We learned the importance of awareness within this country and without. Our eyes have been opened to the current tragedy in Darfur, and that it is our responsibility to step up and step in. We cannot rely upon others and become bystanders, for they are just as guilty for letting things happen. Compassion is the key that leads to survival. Forgiveness has been an important lesson to all of us. John Ross' lecture and Simon Wiesenthal's book have impacted us greatly and taught us that without forgiveness, things will fester, but that there are some crimes that are unforgivable. Everything is different to everyone, but that does not make them worth any less.
My name's Tanya, and I'm in one of Myrna's sections. Can everyone hear me? No. No. Maybe I should.
Can you hear?
You can talk on.
Who said no? Okay.
Okay, so I'll try and speak louder.
There you go.
So I think my experience is that I went through a process in this class, and I think it began with feeling very depressed and overwhelmed. And I am a highly overly sensitive person, and when I hear about information, it seems to affect me, and I want to share it with everyone I know, and I get overwhelmed with it. But I still feel at the end of this class that I'm not sure if the reality of the events we have learned about has hit me, that I really can feel as if they're real because I was not present in the moment when they occurred, if that makes sense. Like, I've read about everything that we've learned about, and we've seen speakers, and the speakers have greatly touched me, but I know I can never feel the reality of the situation. But what scares me, and what I think I'm going to take from this class, is that I have the potential to, A, be affected by a Holocaust and be persecuted, but also I can be a persecutor in a Holocaust or a genocide, that I have that capacity. And I believe that all human beings have the capacity for murder or for goodness. And it scares me. And this class kind of scared me because I realized that ordinary people, as we learned, do commit massive evil acts. And I think I have to continue to remember what has happened in history and what I've learned in this class, like every year, all the time, so that I continue to scare myself into remembering that I must, A, stand up for when something goes wrong, not be passive, and do what I know is right. But how do I know what is right? Because oftentimes we learned in our class that what people felt was right was an act of genocide. So I think this is one of the best classes I've taken, and that was my experience.
Well, my name's Courtney Morales, and I was in one of Myrna's classes. And I went through a process just like what Tanya said. I entered this class thinking I understood, the basics of the Holocaust. Who were the perpetrators, who were the victims, when it occurred. But I never really had the chance to think about the motivations and the whys, like why did it occur and how did it occur and what action, like what events had to occur in order for it to get to the point that it did. And this class really allowed me to have that opportunity to reflect on these different aspects of the Holocaust. I reflect back to Barbara's lecture on the Holocaust literature and just being able to look at different aspects of the Holocaust, something that I haven't done in any other class because I've only really viewed it from a history perspective, and just being able to see survivors writing their words down on paper. Being able to experience a survivor speaking is one thing, but as a lot of us noted in our groups, it was very rehearsed because they've done it so many times, and it's a protection thing for them to be protecting us and protecting themselves when they're speaking. But when you see it down in paper, you're able to really feel how they were feeling during that time. I mean, there was that one about the Adam and Eve one. I think we all remember that one poem, and just you can honestly feel how that person was feeling when they wrote it. And I'll never forget that because I think it allowed me to view things from a different point of view. It was a great experience.
Okay, thank you.
We didn't plan to be back-to-back, or I didn't know that you were going to be talking about Dan Page's poem. I've been thinking all day about what did I want to talk about, and some of it is I'm the backup hitter, so I'm going to try to cover some of the things that others may not have. Perhaps the two writers who have most profoundly influenced me are two women, Audre Lorde and Adrienne. And early as a graduate student, I got to hear them talk. And the name of the panel that they were talking on was the transformation of silence into language and action. And for me, that is a lot about what we've been doing, which is trying to bring to language what actually happened, the profound experience of meeting those survivors. Even if they were telling their stories over and over, the way in which you opened your hearts to them and allowed their stories in. Those of us who were facilitating the discussion section noticed an amazing shift in how you were dealing with all that history that we were at that point covering, to the point where you started taking action and realized that there were issues of social justice in each of your lives. Some of them as small as not allowing somebody to tell a joke in your presence that put somebody down, to contributing money, to going off to Africa, to work with people that you were committed to, that full range, and that any of those acts was as important as the other. And the whole of this last part of the class, I've been standing up on an issue that profoundly affected me when I heard that the university was going to be reducing the funding that was devoted to diversity efforts. And so I started using my voice to try to put attention on it and have people understand the impact of that decision. And we are still working on that issue, and we're hoping for a positive outcome. But I really felt that I needed to put my self on the line in the same way as we were asking all of you to do that. For me, the other part of it is being profoundly moved by the way in which all of you have grappled with this material, your ability to understand the Holocaust in light of other genocides, to really see that an individual in a small way can make a difference in the way we either give in to evil or resist it, and your ability to really hang in there with some very complex issues, and your understanding of becoming evil and the issues of forgiveness have been some of the most exciting discussion sections and conversations. And I just hope that all of you will continue to use this material and use the friendships that have been formed in the course of this semester. And I want to thank all of you.
Would you like to join your classmates?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't we do it together?
Yeah.
So we come to a point now where there are two people who are not surprised, but you will be. I don't know whether you noticed an elderly woman who used to sit right where Lydia sits when she came to the lectures. Her name was Sylvia Suker. Her name is Sylvia Suker. And Sylvia is a founding member of the Alliance for the Study of the Holocaust, which is the group that gave birth to us, as one might say, and now is one of our co-parents with the sociology department and also the Center for the Study of the Holocaust. And a few years ago, she has made some incredible contributions to how I think about what I do, and also has become a wonderful friend to me and also to Barbara. And I wanted to think of some way to honor her because of her contributions and how deeply she feels about what we do. And she's a former English teacher. So I thought, why not honor a student who's written an especially wonderful essay or paper. And we talked about how we might do it, about whether students would submit. And there's a kind of way that sometimes if you have an essay award and you ask people to submit, sometimes the people who do the best job are either too busy or too shy or
Too humble.
and so they don't submit anything. So Devious, Barbara, and I have been watching all of your papers all semester long. And we ended up with about
6 or 7.
Maybe closer. I think you had about 6 and I had 4. So
Yeah.
about 10 papers. And we formed the committee. And one of the people on the committee was, of course, Sylvia. And so today we're going to award the Sylvia Suker Essay Award. But this year we have something very unique, and that was we couldn't even work it out with a hand wrestle. So instead of having one awardee, we have 2. And I would like to join have you join us in commending your classmates, Nikki Johnson and
Christina Kino.
Christina Kino. So, I don't know, some of you have probably come to my office, so you know that I have this hanging on the wall. And this is the 5th year we are awarding the Sylvia Suker Award. There it is. I don't know whether you've seen it or not. Your names will be on there. And, wow, we have
even more.
Even more, a small note of honor, and then there's something in there that you need to take care of because it comes with a small honorarium. Okay?
Thank you.
This was very difficult this year because we had several students who did a wonderful job, and Nikki and Christine did. We really did have to arm wrestle, and then finally Sylvia looked at us and said, so it was our honor. We'd like to read just a bit of what they had to say, taking some excerpts. And as I say, there were lots of you who did very, very good writing, and it was very difficult to isolate out. So,
Want me to read a bit?
sure.
I'm going to put on the little aids. This is a quote from the Sunflower, from Kushner's section. I'm not sure there is such a thing as forgiving another person, though I know there is such a thing as being forgiven. To be forgiven is to feel a weight of the past lifted from our shoulders, to feel the stain of past wrongdoing washed away. And Christine says, when I first read the Kushner quote above in the Sunflower, I was so grateful that he had put into words the question I've asked myself since beginning this book, and something that all of the contributors have in some way attempted to address. Principally, what does it mean to truly forgive? Later on she says, I know I tend toward vengeance instead of forgiveness. As Cynthia Ozick explains in her contribution, quote, what we call vengeance is the act of bringing public justice to evil, not by repeating the evil, not by imitating the evil, not by initiating a new evil, but by making certain never to condone the old one, never even appearing to condone it. I have such a strong belief in the power of awareness to do good in this world that I care far more about exposing evil and learning from it than I do about forgiving it. Although I don't believe in God as Christians or Jews do, I do believe there is a higher power in this universe. Call it love, unity, or whatever, and that the natural state of this universe is in balance. My mother always taught me that wrongs will be righted by the universe. She said that no pain or injustice will ever go unnoticed. People will always have to answer for their crimes in this life or the next, in some form or another. I've always believed her. I cling to the idea like I imagine Catholics cling to a priest's assurances that saying a few Hail Marys will absolve them from their sins. Yet when considering the atrocities of the Holocaust, the enormities of the crimes in other genocides, how can they ever be righted? How can balance ever be restored from the disruption that these acts cause? I don't know, especially because these crimes against humanity persist to the present day. It truly does not seem like God was on leave. It truly does seem like God was on leave, as the old woman in Wiesenthal's camp exclaimed. Her conclusion? As for the balance of the universe, Karl's death could not make up for the 300 Jews he helped to massacre. Maybe by allowing Wiesenthal to live, hunt Nazis, and share his story with the world so that countless thousands upon thousands could evaluate their own willingness to forgive, there is a move toward balance. Yet forgiving humanity, let alone individual perpetrators, for the horrors that we inflict upon each other, seems impossible when we still so desperately need Ozick's brand of vengeance. Thanks, Christine.
This comes from Nikki's midterm, where she says, saying that evil is committed by ordinary people is somewhat perplexing to me. I have always believed that once a person kills another single person, they are no longer considered ordinary. So to swallow that ordinary people are the ones committing these mass killings and genocide was somewhat difficult for me. She then goes on. Groupthink is a term often used in psychology that refers to when people conform with highly cohesive groups so as to be accepted and not to cause problems. I think a lot of what Waller says, in accordance to situational influences, has a lot to do with groupthink. I no longer feel as if referring to these perpetrators as ordinary is wrong. In fact, I think it is an important statement that many people need to understand and come to terms with. And she goes on, as witnessed in Poland during the Holocaust, in Rwanda and many other places where genocide has occurred, neighbors and even relatives will turn on one another in order to conform to the happenings of the time. So resisting seems somewhat far-fetched for me. Instead, I think we need to focus our attention on understanding, focus our understanding and attention, and maybe even controlling the outside influences in order to get a better handle on these sort of atrocities. To be quite honest, if I was ever put in a situation where I had a choice of being in the in-group or being part of them, I don't necessarily know what I would choose. I think in certain situations, our innate drive inside of us to survive and take over, and our actions may not correspond with the person we believe we are. I would hope that I would not be a perpetrator, a victim, or a bystander, but instead would be someone fighting for the cause, regardless of if it meant I lost my own life. I wish there were a way to share more of what you have written with each other. And in fact, I think that perhaps that might be something we might incorporate next year. So we come almost to the end. I would like to know if there's anything that any of you would like to say about what your experience was like. Don't be shy. Or be shy. Okay, we had all the talkers up here. Okay. What we're going to end with today is with some photographs that were brought back by Julie Leshman and Becky Packard, the two students in the lecture series who went to Rwanda. And I want you to see a bit of where your money is going to go that you contributed so generously. So if someone could get the light, would you don't have a flashlight, do you? Could you turn them on? Can you set it for a PowerPoint and it will go for a slideshow and it will go by itself?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And then I wasn't there, but I'll try and give you some. Okay. This is the village where the orphanage is. Julie and Becky are interested in AIDS prevention. It's beautiful and serene, very, very difficult, they said, to imagine what had gone on there. Those are coffins. As you know, AIDS is rampant in Africa. That's the church.
And isn't that the church where many people were massacred?
Yes, it was the church where many people were massacred. I think that's one as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's some of the kids. Like the shirt. Okay, there's Mathilde in the middle. And those are the sewing machines. If you'll notice, they're not electric. They work by pedals. They don't have electricity. And there are some of the young girls who are in the orphanage. And there they are with their certificates of completion of school. Remember, $5 buys a child a year. And there's Mathilde with some government official. That's Becky in the middle and Julie, I think, in the blue. These are students at the school. And obviously that's the cemetery. These are some of the officials. They also do training in teaching people how to use pottery. He doesn't have to worry about miles per gallon, does he? And those are mass burial sites. You can see the bullet hole in his head. Lucky to have survived.
Sculpture done.
Yeah, it's a sculpture, commemoration of what happened. I remember Julie and Becky telling me that there are still mass graves. But this sculpture portrays some of the killing that went on. Quite stark. And I think that part of this is also part of real bodies. This is another one of the places that people were trapped. And as a memorial, you can see the mural there. This is, I believe, about the reconciliation trials that they're having. And another trial, the homes on the hill. Oh, it's like the beginning. Okay. Anyway, we wanted to give you some flavor of what the area looked like and what the children experienced. And as I said, these are pictures taken by former students. Unless you have some pressing half-hour task, is there something you want to do for half hours? No? Okay. Once again, thank you for a successful semester. Thank you for participating. And you can bring your... Oh,
we need to.
T-shirts.
Yeah. Those people who ordered t-shirts from the Human Rights Center do have those for you, and we also have an extra few that t-shirts today. And if you're interested in the Human Rights Club and you get on the email list, you don't have to come to every meeting. You don't have to do a lot. Maybe you just want to be on the email list. We'll have a sign-up sheet down there.
Okay, thank you very much. Oh, yes. We want to thank Shakay.
Yeah.
You go, girl.
Go Girl to Graduate School.
You go girl to graduate school. We eventually might need someone to come and help us at the center. If you're interested in doing that next semester or at the lecture series next spring, don't have a sign-up sheet, get in touch with me. I'll be more than eager to talk to you about that. And it's always wonderful to call on students who have the kind of knowledge that you have.
So your finals will serve as your attendance sheet today.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No predictions until your attendance sheets are passed.
Yeah, there's some attendance sheets from my sections over there if you want to fight over them and cause a scene at the last lecture.
Thank you, everyone.
Do you want them in different sections?
Of course.